owner and their dog.
Yeah. You know, contracts. You use a contract now for
I train for a
class.
company.
Yeah, you train for.
Right. So they have all of the contracts. Everything's signed before I even get the students.
Okay. Oh, I see. You're training for a company now, but you want to do private lessons on your own. I mean, chances are you could probably use their already existing contracts. I'm not suggesting that you steal them or anything, but
right.
a lot of times the contracts are pretty boilerplate, and all you really want to do is understand what's being written. I mean, you know, you've got a typical contract's going to show what you're going to be teaching. It's going to have room for your name and for the client's name and the dog's name and all that stuff. You know, and then various boilerplate things. You know, there's actually a company out there. I'm not gonna promote my school, because the truth of the matter is that while we teach that in our program and offer that to our students, not everybody here is an ABC graduate.
Right.
So for just a trainer that has nothing to do with my organization, I'd highly recommend a company called Dog Tech. Okay, Dog Tech has wonderful wonderful tools, including contracts that you can.
Templates.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
They're
Wonderful.
very, very helpful.
Thank you.
So yeah, it's important to use a contract, and the contract also needs to be consistent in its appearance with everything else. This is about appearance, but contracts are hugely important. Any other? Yes.
I have a question. I've been training dogs for about 10 years now, and I go back and forth on whether I should bring my demo dog with me when going into veterinary hospitals and pet stores. So I was just curious what your opinion of that was.
You know, it depends on the dog. I've seen trainers that brought demo dogs in that I kind of scratched my head over, because the truth is, well, I'm sure they were wonderful dogs, they didn't listen all that well. Sometimes they weren't properly socialized, were extremely disobedient around distractions. Remember that if you're showing this as a dog that is a reflection of your talents as a trainer, and the dog is not highly trained, people are going to wonder. I mean, if this is your dog and it's the best you can do. So assuming the dog, now I'll tell you, I have a Basset, and when he was younger, I used to do this thing with him when he was very young in group class, okay, where I would bring him and he would do one thing, which is he would walk through a hoop. He couldn't jump through a hoop. I mean, the dog's, you know, so I literally put a hoop down, and the dog would, and you'd have to coax him through, and this dog, I mean, he's great on stay for 4 days. You got to check to see if he's breathing, but getting him to move was a totally different thing. So literally, this dog would walk through at a glacial pace, and as he walked through the hoop, I'd say, "Look, he's jumping, and people would crack up over this because it was just silly, and people liked that. But I also knew that he was really okay around, you know, people, other dogs, that he was responsive. So to answer the question, if the dog is really well trained, you trust that dog emphatically when new people come around. You trust him or her emphatically with noises and all sorts of distractions, and the dog's going to respond to whatever cues you're giving. Absolutely. People love, because as I said earlier, people are visual. So if you can show them what maybe their dog will be able to do in time, it's a huge plus. So yeah, demo dogs are great if you have the right one. So yes. Other questions? Okay. In that case, let's talk about some basic behavior that I think trainers can use. The first is about phone calls and phone etiquette. You know, you're going to get clients calling you or requesting contact information as a result of maybe some email capture on your website, but you're going to have to contact them by phone. So here's what I've found works. Return phone calls within no more than 2 business days. Obviously, if you're not busy, you're going to get to them faster than that. Or indicate the response time on your message. Okay, nothing puts people off faster than calling, especially when they've got an emergency, when they have a need, and then they don't hear back for 3-4 days. Plus, the competition might be a little faster. So try to get to them within 2 days or indicate a response time. Pleasant on the phone is critical. 70% of how you're perceived on the phone is based on the tone of voice. Okay? This doesn't mean words aren't important, obviously, But short, rude responses, you're going to drive clients away. I'd ask the caller's name right away. Get the dog's name too, so that you can make this a much more personable phone call. The important thing is to have a positive attitude. And it's not easy to do. No, it's not, I mean, hopefully if you're in this business, you're not miserable about doing it. But we all have lives. And sometimes, you wake up, you have a headache, you've got other things going on in your life, you're just not into it today, and you've got to call back, 15 or 20 people. So, you don't have to have a bubbly personality, unless you happen to have a bubbly personality. Just be happy and friendly about what you're doing. And on those days when you really don't feel it, fake it. Okay, because it's going to come across on the phone, and it's infectious. If you're happy and you're enthusiastic, there's an excellent probability that you're going to make the caller, if not happy or enthusiastic, certainly more responsive than if you're not. And also remember that you may have heard the client's question 1,000 times, at least, but it's new to them. Okay, it's very relevant and new to them. And so you need to be patient. You need to be friendly. You need to be competent. If you make potential clients feel dumb or like they're annoying you, you're going to lose business. Okay, people don't always like to ask questions, and when they do, they need to feel like they're really being respected. And in fact, the more you get people to ask questions, chances are the more interested they are anyway. And so it's just really important to be careful about how you answer them. Also, note all promises you make and follow up on it. If you tell somebody you're going to call them back in 2 days, call them back in 2 days. Oh, and here's another thing that sounds really obvious. A lot of people don't do it. Say goodbye when you hang up. Okay? It's really easy to fall into bad habits on the phone when you're on the phone a lot of the times. Timelines. Arrive on time or give clients a window as to when you're going to arrive. Now, I was notorious. I never timed my lessons. I was very clear early on in the business that I didn't want to do 50-minute hour. The answer to the solution to your challenge is, oh, I'm sorry, our time's up. Okay, I didn't want to do that. So I tended to let the lessons run as long as they run. I knew about how long they'd go. I tended to talk a bit, so my lessons would run at least an hour, unless they ran over. And so what I did was I gave clients a window. Our appointment time is between 3 and 3:30. Not quite like the phone company, but definitely not to the minute. And then I made it a point, if I were running late, to call them, not after I was late. Oh, by the way, I'm late. Yeah, we know. Okay, I called them 15 minutes if I knew that I was going to run late, before I was late. And traffic in LA was notoriously difficult to predict. And so I did this, and I found that even when I did run late, I didn't irritate people because I showed respect for their time. One of the biggest complaints customers have about trainers is not showing up on time or not showing up. Okay, it can be a real problem, and so I'm going to be blunt about something. I was taught that a real professional keeps their personal life separate from their business life. Okay, the only thing worse than not following up with clients is burdening them with 8 zillion excuses about why you didn't do what you said you were going to do. Now, understand, look, we're all human beings. From time to time, extraordinary circumstances come up, of course. And most people will be extremely receptive and sympathetic if every now and again a genuine emergency comes up. And, you express it. Hey, I had an accident, or whatever it is. But if you're one of those people whose lives constantly resembles a soap opera, okay, look, everybody has problems from time to time. You just need to really keep that out of your professional life. Because while people will be sympathetic, it's likely to significantly diminish when your trials and tribulations start to impact their lives. Okay, and so in my opinion, like I said, a professional does not allow their personal life to get in the way of their professional one. And by the way, I'm not alone in this. There was a fairly well-known Fortune 500 survey, or Fortune magazine survey, I think it was 05, where 96% of CEOs that were asked this question, one of the definitions of professionalism, listed the fact that you didn't let your personal issues get in the way of your business performance. So you really need to be careful about that. Now, a lot of people will ask me, why are you such a stickler on the details? it doesn't really matter, you know, the little things with the business cards. I mean, we're looking to hire dog trainers. We're not looking to hire surgeons or architects. And the answer is, honestly, just haven't done it. Okay? And I'll tell you what, you ask 100 people whether they've ever had problems with a service person, a contractor, an electrician, a plumber, a doggy daycare, or a pet sitter, a groomer, a dog trainer, and I'll bet you at least 30 or 40% of them are going to have some story about one of these groups. Okay? And in fact, you'll hear horror stories. So I'm a stickler for details, because the way I figured, if you can't handle little things, like making sure your brochure is spelled properly, or returning phone calls, or doing what you say you were going to do, why in the world would I believe you can handle